Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. It is a dry, dusty mess here in Iowa. We have not had a good rain since July 11th when that storm came through with the wind and hail and shredded some of the corn up. And you guys have been asking some great questions since I posted that video about the corn damage. For the most part, everybody wants to know how crop insurance works and why we have separate hail insurance from our crop insurance. Those are great questions. That's what today's video is going to be about. Let's head out to the cornfield and I want to show you what the insurance adjuster from the hail insurance company was looking at when she was trying to figure out how much hail damage we had last week. I'll show you that and we'll talk about crop insurance coming right up. Hey there, thanks for turning down my road. If this is your first time here, my name's Carl. My little brother and I both work for local farmers full-time, but we both also farm together with our cattle herd and our hay operation. Everybody's involved, from the smallest to the biggest. If you don't have the joy of farming yourself, I'd love to help you experience it through this channel. Whatever your background, you found the right place. This is Dodge Brothers Farm and Ranch. All right, here we are at this cornfield that I brought the hail insurance adjuster to last week. Let me just kind of show you what she did, and then you'll understand why I didn't even ask if it would be okay to film while we were doing this. So basically, we went out into the field, looked at the damage a little bit, and then she would pick a plant and take off 6 or 7 leaves and check them for damage. And this is how you check them for hail damage. Okay, so let's say we're gonna do this leaf. Now it looks pretty bad, it's hanging down, it's all tattered. You peel the leaf off the corn stalk. I just messed up. We have to do another one. This is why I'm not a hail insurance adjuster. I just destroyed the leaf trying to take it off the corn stalk. Start over again, take 2. Okay, let's pretend this is the leaf we're examining. Look, it's all shredded up and tattered. I tear the leaf down off the stalk, hold it upside down, and basically smooth it out and try to piece it back together. I can't really do this while I'm by myself in a cornfield. Here, corn plant, can you hold the camera for me? No, you can't. This was a bad idea. I should have brought someone with me. So you basically hold it upside down and try to smooth it out and piece it back together, and then look at it and say, well, how much of the leaf is missing? And in this case, probably if you smoothed it all out, there's a lot of leaf still there. This might only be 10% damage or maybe less. So it's something you have to train your eye to be able to do. These hail insurance adjusters have seen a lot of corn. They've seen a lot of tattered up leaves. They've seen a lot of examples and done a lot of training, but I would not want the pressure of having a recording out there on YouTube that everybody could watch and disagree with me on how much leaf I was saying was left. I'm guessing if 2 people were doing it, you'd probably be within 10% on each leaf, but pretty subjective. Okay, so that's one thing they look for is defoliation, the percentage of the leaf that has been destroyed or removed. Another thing they look for, and I had never even thought about this until we got out there with the hail insurance lady, they look for corn stalks that have been bruised and damaged to the point where they break off. Now, I was looking at a lot of this corn after the wind and hail had gone through, and I thought that a lot of it had actually just been snapped off by the wind, and she showed me how to tell the difference between wind damage and hail damage. And so we actually had some corn that was knocked over because of the hail. The hail sort of came sideways out of the sky. She said usually she sees mostly leaves stripped off and very few stalks broken over. And this time, out of this hailstorm, she's seeing a lot of stalks broken over and a lot less shredded leaves, meaning this hail probably came at a pretty severe angle. It didn't come straight down and strip the leaves off. It came flying in from the side and really bruised up the corn stalks. We're gonna head to another field and I'm gonna show you an example of corn stalks that have been knocked over from bruising from the hail. Okay, this is the cornfield that got blown down twice. It got knocked down really bad by the wind because it had some rootworm feeding. It got knocked down by the wind in the Thursday storm. And then while it was trying to stand back up and that Saturday storm came through, it got knocked down by some hail and it got shredded up a little bit by some hail. So here we're getting out into the part where it's just a tangled mess and it's almost impossible to walk through. Woo! I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we crouch down here, we are looking straight down the rows right now. This is where the corn was planted. It should be right here. It's actually knocked over to the point where in some instances the next row is actually almost where this row should be. It's pretty much bent over nearly 30 inches. All right, that's why it's really hard to walk through. You'll step on these and it'll trip you up and then you'll get tangled up in these rows. It's a mess. Here's an example of some damage that I would not have realized was hail damage. I thought this was just snapped off from the wind, but she showed me that this black pattern of bruising on the side of the plant, right here where it snapped off, is actually where the hail beat this plant up, and that's what caused it to break off. The same with this one right here. You've got all the black bruising there on the plant where the damage happened. You've got another one right here. And so these are examples of the hail coming in from the side, beating up the plant and actually snapping it right off. That plant would not have blown over, would not have broken off if it wasn't for the hail damage. Now here's an example of some hail damage to the side of this plant. It did not break off. It actually held on, and this would have been about the top of the plant when the hail came through. This would have been pretty high on the plant because we only have 2 leaves above that bruising that actually show any damage from the hail. Here's another example of some bruising on the side of this plant. While we're out here, let's just take a quick look at our disease progress. Since we have got our fungicide sprayed, here's some gray leaf spot on the leaf right below the ear leaf, and we are really wanting to protect the ear leaf. This ear leaf still looks really good, so it's a really good thing we got the planes out here, sprayed the fungicide when we did. Okay, so that's basically what the hail insurance adjuster did while she was out in the field. She had an assistant that was writing down the numbers for her as she was stripping leaves off and approximating the amount of leaf defoliation. And then they were also writing down, going down one row out of 100 plants, how many plants were broken over from bruising from the hail. And in one situation, she found 14 plants in a row of 100 that were broken off. So then she has a computer program that she enters all that data into, including the date of the damage and the stage of growth of the corn at the point of damage. That's really important to factor into how much end damage to the corn yield is going to be done by the hailstorm. So she's going to come back in the fall and look again once we get out there with the combine and open the field up, and she'll look and see if maybe it was actually worse than she thought it was. And she said that the number can't go down from where she is now, it can go up in the fall. So she'll be back out again when the combine is rolling to assess the damage and make sure she got a good estimate of how much loss there was from this hailstorm. Now, there was some damage to the soybeans as well. We went through the bean fields and looked at those, and there wasn't hardly any damage to the leaves, but there was quite a bit of bruising on the side of the stems in different locations. So she's going to come back as soon as the leaves fall off the soybeans, because some of those, she said, might actually break off where they are bruised, and we won't be able to collect those beans in a harvest because they'll be laying on the ground, they'll be broken off, and the head won't be able to pick them up. So she wants to come back and count again once the beans start to lose their leaves in the fall to make sure she got a good, accurate estimate of the damage. Okay, let's talk quick about how crop insurance works in general, and then you'll have a good idea of why we have separate additional hail insurance on top of our general crop insurance plan. So your normal crop insurance is referred to as multi-peril insurance, meaning it protects you from a multitude of perils. And here's how it works. Most guys are using what's called revenue protection insurance, which rather than guaranteeing you a certain number of bushels. It's guaranteeing you a certain amount of revenue per acre. Okay, let's run a super simple example of how revenue protection crop insurance works, just so you can get an idea of how it works. There's a lot more complexity and a lot more things involved, but this is a basic overview of how it works. Let's say your production history is 150 bushels per acre, and let's say in February, when you're getting ready to sign up for crop insurance, before you plant the crop, let's say the December futures price is $4 per bushel. So 150 bushels times $4 per bushel is $600 per acre of revenue. So you can purchase policies for anywhere between 50% and 85% revenue protection coverage. Nobody would go 50%, that's super low. Most guys are buying between 70 and 85%. So let's just, for easy math, let's just say you did 75%. So your revenue was $600 per acre based on your 150 bushel per acre production history and the $4 per bushel price for December corn in the month of February. So $600, if you buy 75% revenue protection, you're guaranteed $450 of revenue per acre. So come fall, when you harvest, if you have a major disaster and your yield is super low and the price is the same, if you end up with less than $450 per acre, if you multiply your yield times the harvest price, you'll get a claim. If your yield is maybe average or a little better than average, but the fall price goes from $4 down to $2, that's the cool thing about revenue protection. You're also somewhat protected from volatile markets, from the market dropping out from under you. You could get a claim from your insurance policy even if your corn yield is better than it normally is. If the market completely tanks and that revenue of the harvest price times your actual bushels is less than the guarantee that you purchased in the plan. That's the cool thing about revenue protection. Now, is that enough? Is $450 enough to cover your cost of machinery, land rent, seed, fertilizer, and chemicals? Absolutely not. But it will definitely help out with a major catastrophic loss. It's better than nothing. You can purchase additional coverage. It gets really expensive once you get over 85%, and in a lot of cases it's not worth it. Now, on to the last question. Why do we have separate additional hail insurance on top of our normal crop insurance? The reason is most people are purchasing their multi-peril crop insurance, their revenue protection policy, in what's called enterprise units. It's a lot more efficient to purchase it this way. What we're doing is we're grouping all of the fields together as one enterprise, one unit. Okay, so let's say you buy your crop insurance in enterprise units because the premiums are less. It's a lot more efficient to do that way. Let's say you farm 1,000 acres and it's spread out in 20 different fields of 50 acres each, and they're all over the county, they're all over the place, miles and miles apart. They are treated as one enterprise of 1,000 acres. So if you had one of your 50-acre fields get completely destroyed, there's nothing there to harvest, and the rest of it, the yield was at or above average, and the price is good in the fall, you won't get any claim, you won't get any insurance money for that field that got completely destroyed, because your overall enterprise revenue is still above the guarantee that you purchased on your plan. The reason that it's cheaper to buy your crop insurance in enterprise units is because it's less risk for the insurance company. They're spreading the risk out over all of your acres. Now, hail is one of those things that can do severe damage in a very small localized area. In fact, the first field that we looked at today, the southeast corner of it has a lot of hail damage, and the northeast corner has almost none. So, like I said earlier, you might have one small field get completely destroyed by hail, and on your multi-peril revenue protection enterprise unit insurance plan, you won't get any payment for that hail damage at all. But if you purchase supplemental hail coverage for each field individually, that field that was completely destroyed, you're going to get a good payment on it. And it's pretty cheap to purchase the coverage. That's why most guys are doing it that way. I hope I've been able to answer some of your questions today. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. I didn't go into a lot of detail about the ins and the outs of the insurance policies, but that's just a basic idea of how it works and how a lot of guys are doing it today. Hey, thanks for following along with me. I enjoy talking with you guys in the comment section. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to drop your question right down here in the comment section. Thanks for riding along, and as always, see you next time.